Jananim Saradam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu. So we were discussing the conversation that was recorded by an anonymous devotee. For obvious reasons, he perhaps did not want to disclose his identity. So he just is sharing his reminiscences of his first meeting and subsequent meetings with subsequent Diksha and Mantra Diksha, and later on his interactions with the Holy Mother. Holy Mother was living in Kothar, Orissa. Kothar is a place in Orissa which is adjacent to West Bengal, and his second brother, who stayed in Shashiniketan in Puri. Shashiniketan is not very far from Kothar. His second brother wrote to one of his friends in the native village of this devotee. Perhaps he was a bit young in those days. So he wrote that the Holy Mother is now living in Kothar, that is in Orissa, and you can go there to pay your respects. So the devotee, anonymous devotee, says that he had a very vague idea regarding the Holy Mother and Sri Ramakrishna. He had not read any book on them, nor did he says, I know anything in particular about them. He had just heard, that's all. Nonetheless, I had felt a deep yearning to see her ever since I heard about her. So when he heard about her, he was curious, or he had a deep yearning to see or have a darshan of Holy Mother. After being continuously seized for a few days by such an urge, I left for Kothar. So he could not restrain himself. That is how the divine power attracts. Very often we don't plan these visits. It's the divine force which makes these important meetings possible, which can change the course of our lives. So he says, since though he had a deep yearning, he was continuously seized by this yearning to see her, and he immediately, without any further delay, left for Kothar, and he almost reached there past midday, when normally the lunch would have been taken by all the devotees, including Holy Mother. So he says his feelings when he reached there. He says, strange to say, he reached there much after midday, just past midday, almost past midday, and he says, strange to say, my yearning had by now waned, and it was not so strong. So when he was far away, he was yearning to meet, but when he actually came to Kothar, his yearning he truthfully writes that same yearning was not there. But anyway, since he had come and the devotees were all invited for their midday meal, a mother that was very common, unannounced when people came. Even if people came unannounced, they would always be invited to meal if they came around that time. So he also accompanied, the other devotees were there, so he just joined that group. The meal was over and we seated ourselves in the parlor along with Revered Krishnalal Maharaj, who was one of the sevaks of Holy Mother, and Kedar Baba, Swami Achalananda. They were looking after the needs of Mother, because Mother was not in her place. This Kothar is quite far away from either Jairambati or Dakshineshwar. So when Ram Babu, the only son of later, this Ram Babu is not Ramchandra Datta. This Ram Babu is the only son of Balram Bose, whose house Holy Mother used to normally stay. When she was in Calcutta, she used to stay in the Balram Bose's house, or especially after the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, if she wasn't, they had to leave Dakshineshwar. Of course, there was no, either she used to live in Jairambati, Kamarpukur, or later on, of course, Udbodhan was built. But before that, she used to travel, sometimes Vrindavan, and most of the places, pilgrimage places which she visited, she stayed in the place arranged by Balram Bose. So Ram Babu was his only son, and he came and told Krishnalal Maharaj, the mother has sent for the boy who has come from Cuttack. He should go to salute her now. So this is the message he conveyed, because the mother wanted to meet, even though normally she would take some rest after lunch, but she perhaps had an intuition, and she heard that some people had come from Cuttack. So she said he should go and salute her now. Krishnalal Maharaj told Ram Babu that I have already told them to see the Holy Mother in the afternoon. But Ram Babu said, no, that won't do. The mother is waiting for him. Only after the boy meets her will she go for her meal. So mother has not even eaten. She is keen to meet this person, this young devotee who has come from Cuttack to see her. And all of them had taken lunch, and like a mother who would eat only after feeding the other children, she is waiting to take the lunch herself. She has not yet eaten, but she still insists on seeing the devotees who had come, who have finished their lunch. That was the system. So Ram Babu says the mother is waiting for him, so you please send him now. Of course, Krishnalal's duty was to serve Holy Mother, and he thought perhaps it is better that the devotees meet after mother had her meal. But she was very restless. She wanted to see them before she went for the meal. So I accompanied Ram Babu and bowed down to the mother. So Ram Babu came to, because Holy Mother had asked him to bring the boy. I had no talk with her then. She just went and did prostrations, and the next day I came back home. On my return home, so this was all that happened. So just a simple meeting, no discussion, no talk, but you see the effect of this small meeting. On my return home, I experienced a similar yearning once again, and so I went to Kothar. Again, when he returned home, see, as he had mentioned, that when he actually came, the yearning waned, and he was not not that same yearning was not there. The moment he went back to Kothar, the moment he went back home, he felt like visiting Kothar again. So after a few days stay there, I went to the Holy Mother. A few days stay at Cuttack, his home. He again went one morning and said, Mother, he went to the Holy Mother and said, Mother, and after staying a few days, he reached there and stayed for a few days, and then he wanted to again take leave. Mother, I shall leave for home tomorrow morning. The mother replied, well, stay here tomorrow and leave home the next day. Then he came out of the room. So he came on the second visit also. That attraction brought him, but he was unable to ask anything. So he was just taking leave, and mother said, no, stay for one more day and leave home the next day. I came out of the room. After a while, a monk came to tell me, the Holy Mother is going to favor you, means initiate you. So this was a decision. He had not even asked for initiation, but Holy Mother herself decided to initiate this boy. So she says, keep yourself ready for that initiation after your bath tomorrow morning. So after your bath, since she has told you to stay here for one more day and go on the day next to it, she said, you come after taking a bath, come prepared so that you can take. And he didn't say it was initiation. He said, Mother wants to do you a favor. So he says, I wondered what the favor might be. I could make nothing of it, and kept silent. See, he was not even contemplating or thinking of taking initiation. But mother has made plans, and she has said that she has sent the message through Ram Babu that she would do a favor. Now, what that favor was, what that favor might be, he could make nothing of it and just kept silent and he just nodded his head. Early next morning, I made myself ready after my morning bath when Radhu Didi announced, "Who is Vaikunta Babu?" So now we know the name. Though he has not published the reminiscences in his name, definitely is Vaikunta Babu. So Radhu is asking, "Who is Vaikunta Babu?" The mother has sent for him. I said, "My name is Vaikunta. Am I to go to the mother?" She nodded and I followed her to meet the Holy Mother. On seeing me, the mother said, "Come inside the room." She asked, "Will you take the mantra?" I replied, naturally he was not ready for that. He said, I replied, "If you are pleased, kindly give me. I know nothing about it." So he was not prepared. So suddenly mother asked him, "Will you take the mantra?" And then he said, "Kindly give me. I'm okay. If you are pleased, if you are happy, you can give me. But I know nothing about the mantra, what I should be." He said, the mother said, "Well, be seated here." Then she asked, "The mantra of which deity would you like to have?" In those days, mother either used to uh, fix a deity for meditation. There were so many mantras she used to give of different deities, depending on who the Ishta is. Ishta means one deity on whom you meditate. That is known as Ishta. Then she asked, "The mantra of which deity would you like to have?" So I replied, "I know nothing about these things, mother." Thereupon the mother said, "Okay, this mantra will suit you." So she gave some mantra. Uh, she selected which deity and which mantra to be given and gave the mantra. So the mother initiated me with the mantra that very day. It was the 7th lunar day of Magh of 1317, that is January, February 1911. The Bengali year is known as Magh, the 7th lunar day of Magh, month of Magh. That comes normally, the month falls between January, the end of January, and February, mid-February. So one day, while on a visit, I asked her, some other day, "Mother, can I have another spiritual guide for my lessons on yoga?" In reply, she said, "You may have guides for learning various other things. But remember, you should have no other person for spiritual guidance." Now, this is a very important fact which is followed traditionally in the Guru Parampara. Now, you may say, "Oh, what about a person whose guru has passed away? Can he not take guidance?" But the spiritual guidance which one has got from the guru is so precious, and one has to follow it to the last point, to the last word. That is usually more than enough. Not usually, it's definitely more than enough. You can learn other things. That's what mother says. You may have guides for learning various other things. Like you may even learn what the scripture says, what the Upanishad says, what Gita says. There may be reading and some explanation of certain things. But as far as your sadhana and your mantra is concerned, how the sadhana has to be done, how the spiritual practices are to be done, it is between you and your guru. So she says, yes, you can take guidance on yoga. I mean, he wanted to learn some kind of yoga. I don't know what kind of yoga he wanted, whether it was asanas or pranayama or some other form of yoga. He said, it's you may have guides for these other things, for learning various other things, even your secular subjects or some other subjects which are not directly linked with your initiation. You may have guidance from other people to know the theory behind so many spiritual principles. But when it comes to sadhana, you should have no other person for spiritual guidance. This has to be remembered verbatim. That is why whatever instructions, whatever mantra we get though, especially those who are initiated by a particular guru, it is not wise to change. It is imperative that a person who has had a formal guru has initiated should stick to his advice. And it becomes imperative that one remembers what one was told during initiation, because normally a small booklet is given, some instructions are given, whether they are given in a written form, in a printed form or not, if whatever was spoken by the guru becomes very, very important. And that is the spiritual guidance. If the guru is alive, it is fine, you can ask some details about the sadhana and the other things, but it regarding that mantra, you can ask about in general about other things connected, uh, other subjects, as Holy Mother says, learning various other things which revolve around the idea of mantra. But the mantra in special, the technique and the spiritual instructions that were given, that guidance that was given, is the ultimate. We have to stick to that and follow verbatim what the the guru who has initiated you has asked you to do. So Rambabu woke me up at about midnight prior to the morning I was to leave Kothar. Now, after getting Diksha, after asking some few questions, he is about to leave. He handed over a packet of sweets to me and said, Vaikunta, the mother presents you with these sweets. Carry them with you. The mother advised you not to take food from any wayside shop. So maybe she was very particular that he should not be eating anything and everything, especially after initiation, from uh, other people. So she says, don't take any food from any wayside shop. Just eat what I've given. I think this should be sufficient for you. Take it as prasad and somehow manage to eat only this, whatever I give you, but don't buy any food from the wayside shop, because now normally people would do that. It would take 2-3 days to reach their homes, so naturally they have to eat in wayside shops. Another time he says, I went to alone to see the Holy Mother. Usually he used to go with his friends, but this time he went alone. Vaikunta went alone. She had come from Jairambati to Kamarpukur for a few days. This was my first visit to Kamarpukur. So he decided, because he had earlier 2 or 3 times he had met her at Kothar in Orissa, which is quite far from Kamarpukur. It's in another state. But this time he decided that I should meet her at Kamarpukur. And that was his first visit. Though it is not very far from Calcutta, still people had to plan their journey to reach. It took 3 days, 4 days, even from Kolkata. And from Cuttack or some others, it would have taken much more. Of course, trains were there, trains were running, and they could come to some station like Tarakeshwar and then come either walking by bullock cart or by bullock cart. So this was his first visit to Kamarpukur, and Ramlal Dada and Lakshmi Didi. Ramlal Dada is the nephew of Sri Ramakrishna, and Lakshmi Didi, who is the niece, they were staying there too, in the ancestral house where mother was staying. Mother used to sometimes stay, as Thakur had told her that she should stay and eat whatever she could grow in the fields nearby. So that is how he said, don't ask anything of anybody. Don't never stretch your hands in front of somebody. Live a frugal life with a frugal diet, and whatever grows, they had a small field and they used to grow paddy. So whatever you get from those fields, and with whatever little vegetables you can grow, you just eat that and don't expect help from anybody. So Holy Mother was there, and the first day Ramlal Dada and he were seated on the veranda for dinner. So normally women would eat out inside after the men had eaten, and they would normally take the dinner in the veranda, not in the room which was used, because they had very few rooms. So the dining room would be not be there. Veranda was used, the outside veranda would be used for the dining purposes. So, mother herself was serving us food. So she had cooked something, and from the kitchen she brought it, and in the veranda she was serving all the devotees who were there, including Ramlal Dada. While serving, she told me several times, Vaikunta, take everything. Don't leave anything on the leaf. I mean, whatever I am serving, just finish it. Don't waste things or don't leave things in the leaf. Every time she served, she gave me more and more food. Ramlal Dal too pressed me, saying, eat more, don't be shy. This is your own home, don't be shy. So he was pampered a lot by mother and also by Ramlal Dada. By that time, I had eaten so much that I was unable to take anything more. But I hesitated to say so. But he was so shy that he was literally forced to eat. Now, on hearing Ramlal Dada's words, the mother intervened, saying, Look here, he is a whimsical boy. He has taken enough. Please do not insist on his taking more food. So, mother understood that he is not able to take anything more, and Ramlal was forcing him. She said to me, Vaikunta, remove the leaf plate and glass from here. One should not leave them behind in his master's house. Said, see, Holy Mother is teaching him the etiquettes. Said, when you come to your Guru's place, you should not leave your plates behind and expect others to take it away. Normally, mother would do it, but she's training this boy, Vaikunta. She says, take the leaves with you and leaf plate and glass, and then wash it and dispose it off. One should not leave them behind in his master's house. Means, in whoever takes food in the Guru's house or the Guru's presence, he has to clean his own plates. That's the idea. Now, after that, on the second day, as I went to salute, this is the visit to Kamarpukur, she asked, when will you be returning home? I replied, Mother, I have not yet seen Belur Math. I want to visit the Belur Math and then go home from there. The mother then immediately said to him, you don't need to go to the Math now. You leave for home today itself. I said, Mother, I have come here from so distant a place. I don't intend to go back home without visiting Belur Math. But the mother was very firm. Perhaps she had some premonition. She said, no, you go home. You must not disobey your Guru. So whatever the Guru is telling you, even if it is a casual order, you should not disobey. You should just listen. After this, I made no further protests, and he decided to go back. Though he had a strong desire to visit, after visiting the Holy Mother at Kamarpukur, go to Dakshineshwar. I mean, he wanted to go to Belur Math. Sorry, not Dakshineshwar. He wanted to go to Belur Math, which he had not visited, before leaving for home. But she didn't allow for some reasons. And moreover, not only that, she said, now that your Guru has told you to go back, you should obey. So he immediately went back. He didn't go to Belur Math. So after that, still in his mind, you see, he decided, but suddenly the thought came that he thought he would try to visit Math after leaving this place, thinking that the mother would not come to know it. He thought, mother must have casually told me I can, after leaving this place, I will quietly go to Belur Math and then go home. So about this time, two devotees, a man and a woman, had come from Allahabad, and mother gave them spiritual initiation on that very day. The mother sent for me and said, you please go along with them. However, I was told that my accompanying them would cause them inconvenience, and so I dropped the idea. The mother had come to the main entrance to see them off. A little earlier, I had put my money bag in a niche in the parlor. Noticing it, the mother had kept it in the living room. Subsequently, she inquired of me through Lakshmi Didi, where has Vaikunta kept his money bag? I looked for the bag in the parlor but could not find it. And the mother called him and said, "How can you be so careless? You're just leaving your money bag anywhere and everywhere. He who does not have as even this much alertness, how will he look after his household? You want to be a householder, and if you can't even look after your money bag, there's no point in yours becoming a householder. How can you? Because a householder is supposed to be careful about his money, about all the possessions, and he has to frugally or very wisely use whatever resources he has. So he says, don't be careless. So slowly, mother is training, and just after giving the mantra, she is giving him instructions, very clear instructions, what to do, what not to do. Perhaps she doesn't want him to go to Belur Mutt, so he said, "You go home and you go with these people." So to make sure, perhaps mother read his mind and understood that if he disobeys the Guru, it will be very bad for him. So she arranges this trip, but still he is not happy. He said, "I will put them into inconvenience. You are telling me to go with them, but I feel it would not be good." Anyway, uh, then Holy Mother said, "Your money bag is with me." "Well, why did you not go with that party?" So she was a little upset that she had told him to go with that party and he has still not gone. Well, I explained, she was evidently displeased with them. I assured the mother, saying, "Why are you so anxious on that account? I shall fix up a person to accompany me and leave tomorrow." On hearing this, the mother moved towards her room. You see, people don't realize when certain things are told by the Guru, maybe they are very casual utterances. I still remember when uh, certain decisions were to be taken as to where I should join the mission and all that. I was getting so much of advice, so much of from other monks. But then finally I got so confused and went to my Guru. And when I asked, he was very brief but to the point, and he said, "Do this, do this, do this." 5 or 6 things he told me to do, and then everything, I felt as if a big burden has been removed from my mind. There was so much of confusion. When we take decisions, very often we see the pros and cons of a thing. That is what has happened here. This Vaikunta has taken initiation. Perhaps he doesn't know the tradition, that one should be very obedient. Even Sri Ramakrishna did not like. You remember there was an incident when Sri Ramakrishna asked Yogananda to remove some cockroaches which were in the room, take them outside and kill them. Take a broom and just kill them and dispose them off. Because they were in the room, it is not good to have cockroaches moving around in the room. But Yogananda was of a very, very mild disposition. So he took the cockroaches and with the help of the broom, took them outside and just drove them away. He didn't kill them. So somehow Sri Ramakrishna was very attentive. He saw that Yogananda has simply uh, driven out the cockroaches and there is a likelihood that they may come back again. So he asked him, "Did you kill them?" He said, No, I just, anyway, they will not disturb you. I have thrown them away at a far off distance. Then Sri Ramakrishna got terribly upset. He scolded him. He scolded Yogananda. "See, when I tell you something, you obey it. Otherwise, you will come to great grief." So this is the idea. I mean, that is the tradition we normally follow. That as far as spiritual advice or even for other things, for certain things, if at all we ask the Guru something and he tells you to do something, it 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 is mandatory to listen to that. Otherwise, we will come to grief. Sri Ramakrishna told Yogananda, if you do like this, if you don't do what I say, later on, now it may not be a serious problem, but later on you will come to grief. And then after that, Yogananda did exactly what Sri Ramakrishna told him. So similarly, she was displeased when he explained that, "Oh, I didn't go." She had something in mind. We do not know. First, she said, "Don't go to Belur Mutt." For some reason, she said, "Go home." many things, we do not know these great people who are gurus. They have this kind of subtle intuition, and what in any case, whether it is intuition or whether there's a deeper significance to their words, it's not a good idea to even neglect the casual words. If you have asked something, then you have to obey what the guru says. But as Holy Mother said, in case of spiritual things, you should strictly follow what your guru has said. But other things, when guru is not there, maybe you can ask somebody, get their advice, listen to that. That is fine. But specific instructions given by the guru have to be taken literally, and to the last word they should be followed. So he says, first he scolded him. See how she is training her disciple, who is very sincere, no doubt, but he says you should be alert. You should not be leaving all your things, especially money, in so carelessly. Otherwise, how will you run a household? It will be so difficult for you. You're not a monk that you can live without money. You will be a householder one day, and at that time, this alertness, you have to be careful with your money and all those things. Second thing, she noticed that though she had told him to go with those two devotees who had come, and she had arranged for that, but still he felt, perhaps one of the reasons was that he wanted to go to Belur Math, because having come so far, he thought, I should not be going back to my state without visiting Belur Math. So that is how our gross minds work. We don't realize there is a deeper significance. If mother says, otherwise why should she prohibit him from going to Belur Math? Why should she suggest and ask some devotees to take him with him? So he thought he will go with somebody else. He did not want to cause any embarrassment. He thought perhaps they are not familiar people if I go with them. So there were so many things which were in his mind, and he didn't obey. So she was evidently displeased with them. So I showed the mother, saying, why are you so anxious on that account? I shall fix up another person to accompany me and leave tomorrow. On hearing this, the mother kept quiet. Of course, she can't scold. She was so kind, she was so motherly, but definitely she was displeased, because she quietly moved towards her room. So most of the Holy Mother's disciples used to say that being a mother, she never scolded or admonished somebody. Maybe in a mild way she would correct them, but even after that, if somebody disobeyed, she would simply walk away. She would neglect it, because if she had anything in mind, then it would be very harmful to the disciple. Anyway, she heard quietly his explanation, his stupid explanation. She had just instructed him to do certain things, and he had changed his program on his own, and she just kept quiet and went to her room. That afternoon, she called me into the inner courtyard. She said, read out these letters. Let me hear what news they are bringing. Now, since he could not accompany, mother said, okay, let me just keep him engaged. So she asked him to come there, and since mother could not read, she expected him to read everything and explain what are the contents of the letter. Somebody or the other who knew writing and reading would help her. She was not as fluent, though she could do some writing or reading. Holy Mother asks him, please read out, see what news they are bringing. I read them out. I still remember the contents of one of the letters. The letter was from Bagh Bazar, Calcutta. It is said that the ailing Shashi Maharaj wanted to see the Holy Mother once, and that he promised to follow the course of treatment that mother might suggest for him. On hearing the contents of the letter, the mother remarked, what more can I say about medical treatment? Sharat, Rakhal and Baburam are there. Let them consult among themselves and take the best available decision. If I decide to go to that house, the patient will have to be removed from there. So she was so considerate. Will that be good for him? Should such an acutely suffering patient be shifted? No, I shall not go. If something adverse happens to Shashi, shall I be able to stay here? You please write to him explaining why I don't intend to go now. Now, Shashi Maharaj was sick, but he was staying in a place which had only one room. And if Holy Mother went, then Shashi Maharaj would have had to vacate that room and stay somewhere else, which she did not want to do. Not that she did not want to go. And moreover, she said, Baburam, Rakhal and Sharat, they are taking care of him. They are giving him the next possible treatment. He was suffering from tuberculosis. So it was a very advanced stage and he was just about to die. But he just had, but later on you will find there's a beautiful song which was sung before him just before he passed away. He called for somebody, I forgot the name, and he was singing that song when Shashi Maharaj passed away. And then he had a vision of Holy Mother. Though Holy Mother did not go physically, she appeared to him when that song was sung. The meaning of the song is, the dark night is over. Now it is the dawn is coming and the bright light of dawn is bathing everything with peace and all the sufferings will come to an end. So something like that. It's a very, very emotional and powerful song. And somehow Swami Ramakrishna on his deathbed wanted to hear that song being sung. And one of his disciples came and sung that song also. And while that song was sung, or maybe just after that, he had a vision of Holy Mother and he was so pleased because he wanted to see her before he passed away. But she came in a subtle form and blessed him. So the reason why she did not want, that's why she told Vaikuntha to write that letter. I know Shashi wants me to at least visit him. He wants to see me before he dies. But please tell him that if I come, then they will shift him, and which is not good for him. So she is an acutely suffering patient. He should be taking rest. So she didn't go. The next day after the noon meal, I went inside the house to take leave of the Holy Mother, because he had not gone with those relatives. The Holy Mother had told him to go. So I found her sitting on the veranda and preparing betel leaves. She asked me, have you made pranams or salutations at the temple of Raghuveer? I said, no, Mother. Then Mother said, whoever visits this holy place, that is Kamarpukur, should make some contribution there. Offer some money when you make obeisance to Raghuveer. If you do not have money, take some from me. You see, she is teaching him because we belong to the modern Calcutta and all these traditions were not being followed, or perhaps they were all ignorant of these traditions. He said, if you have come to a place where the Lord is being worshipped, at least give some money, and even if you don't have, take the money from me, but offer it. Offering is very important. So that is how Mother was training. The disciple said, no, Mother, I have money. I'll give it. I went to the temple of Raghuveer to make my obeisance. On my return, I saluted the Holy Mother. She suddenly exclaimed, Vaikuntha, take my name. But the very next moment she added, call on the Master. Calling on the Master will alone serve anything. Suddenly, in a deep mood, she said, take my name, just take my name. So, sir, perhaps she was giving a hint that taking her name and taking the name of Sri Ramakrishna would be the same. Anyway, she said, call on the Master. Calling the Master alone will serve everything. Lakshmi Dadi was standing nearby, intervened, saying, Mother, what is this? This is quite improper. What will your children do if you confuse them in that way? Then Mother asked, Lakshmi Didi was very shrewd and very intelligent. She said, you have confused him now. Say, take my name, and now you say only Sri Ramakrishna's name. So what should he do? Don't confuse them like that. Then Mother said, well, what have I done? Then Lakshmi Didi said, Mother, you said a moment earlier, call on me, and now you are saying, call on the Master. What is he to do? On his behalf, she is asking. So Mother then again repeated, everything is achieved when one calls on the Master, that is Sri Ramakrishna. And Lakshmi Didi came forward and said, Mother, it is not proper for you to bewilder. Again she is saying, to bewilder your children. They are getting confused. Then she emphatically added, Look, Vaikuntha, today for the first time I have heard Mother saying, call on me. You must not miss this point. Who else is Mother? You call on Mother alone. Very fortunate are you to be given the advice by Mother herself. You call on none but the Mother. And then turning towards the Mother, she said, Well, Mother, this is explained, I believe. The Mother, through her silence, lent her support indirectly to the words of Lakshmi. She just kept quiet. So that means that was what she was wishing, but she did not want to tell that out of humility. Of course, she believed that taking the name of Ramakrishna and taking the name of Holy Mother is the same. But still, she could not tell it. But Lakshmi Didi explained to him, Vaikuntanath, that taking the name of Holy Mother is equally important. You just continue. And then when Lakshmi Didi told this, and she was expecting the Holy Mother to say something, she just kept quiet. So indirectly she supported what Lakshmi Didi instructed this boy. When I was taking leave of her, the mother said once again, Go straight home from here. It would not be wise for you to go to the mutt or elsewhere now. Go home, look after your parents. Now you should serve your father. Then she gave me 4 betel leaves and bade me farewell. So he gave up. Finally, when mother was insisting, he gave up the plan of visiting Belur Mutt. Earlier he had just thought, what is there? But since she emphatically said, you should follow the Guru's words verbatim. And now he understood, so he has become humble enough to accept that, and giving up the previous plan of going to Belur Mutt, he returns, following the mother instructions, and returned home to Cuttack via Kolpada. Kolpada was a place where people would rest for some time, or it belonged to the it was a small monastery near Jairambati. So whoever left Jairambati for Dakshineshwar or some other place, they would visit Kolpada or on the way back. So that was like a mother's drawing room, they used to say. She used to sometimes sit there, take some rest, and then proceed by walk to Jairambati, which was not very far. So when I had left home for Jairambati, I had seen my father hale and hearty. Now on coming back, I found him seriously ill, and in fact my father passed away 6 or 7 days after my arrival. Now you understand why the Guru is telling this, why mother, the Guru of this Vaikuntanath, was insisting. She had a premonition, definitely she knew. It's not without reason that she will ask him not to go to Belur Mutt. So had he gone, perhaps he would have missed, and his father would have died in his absence, and he would have regretted for his whole life. So that shows. He says, and when he came, there was absolutely nothing to suggest that he is sick. Otherwise he would have agreed. But there was nothing to suggest that he was sick. But when he came back, he found, to his surprise, that he was seriously ill. So perhaps mother had an intuition of this, that he should be with his father during his passing away. And he passed away exactly 6 or 7 days after he reached his home. Had he gone to Belur Mutt and stayed on, then this would not have happened. So that is how mother saved him. On a later occasion, while going to Kamarpukur, I brought with me a letter addressed to mother from one of my fellow disciples. When I was about to hand over the letter to the mother, she asked me to read it out. She said, you have brought the letter, why don't you read it out to me? It contained these 2 questions. There were 2 questions in that letter. I am going to take such and such an employment. Will I get entangled in Maya if I join there? Then on hearing this, the mother remarked, why should he get entangled in Maya if he simply takes service? If he just takes on a job, there is no reason why he should get entangled in Maya. So she was so liberal. She knew that one need not be attached. One can do anything one likes, but at the same time they have to be detached. So he said, why should he get entangled in Maya if he takes service, if he simply takes service? So, just to support himself. Then she says, second question was, to the question as to whether marriage will bring him good, the mother did not give any definite reply. On the other hand, the mother asked him, he was supposed to reply to that letter because the fellow disciple, brother disciple of this Vaikuntha, had asked two questions. One was answered, second was kept open, in the sense mother did not give any yes or no. Obviously, she cannot say yes, yeah, go and get bound in the world. But if somebody was really keen, perhaps he would not marry, then she should support him. So normally she kept silent. So whether marriage will bring him good or not, now that depends on the person, that depends on what his attitude is. So anyway, mother does not give any reply. And my son, she on the contrary, she asking Vaikuntanath. Then the disciple said, no mother, I am not married. Then mother told, well, please don't marry. Marriage invites many complications. So this was the advice she gave to his disciple, but not to the other fellow disciple. She just kept quiet because she perhaps knew that even if I say don't marry, he will marry. Then he will come to grief by disobeying the Guru. Anyway, once during my stay at Kamarpukur, I asked the mother, what is the harm in taking fish and meat? So the mother replied, this is a land of fish, you can take fish. So he was permitted. It was during one of these days I once requested her to give me a print of her feet. The mother replied, this cannot be done here now. Everybody here does not look upon me in the way you do. Normally, we take the print of our Guru after we, there is a tradition to worship the print. They apply some kind of vermilion, red vermilion on the feet, and some nice small handkerchiefs or cloth pieces are brought, and the Guru places his feet on that piece of cloth, and then it is slowly allowed to dry, leaving the impression behind. So that is one way of paying respect. So many of the disciples of certain gurus, they insist, they wish that they get a small cloth where the print of the Guru is taken. So similarly, he wanted that when now mother is alive, so it would be nice. Normally the print is taken after the passing away. Before cremating the body, the prints are taken. But in Ranganathanji's case, at least I know one of our presidents, he went to somebody's office who is a dear disciple of his. I don't want to name that disciple, he is still living in Mumbai. So he visited, Maharaj visited his office. He was perhaps the vice president then, and he was moving a lot. So he went to his office, which he had just started, and blessed him. And then he himself asked to bring some vermilion, and because he says, frame it and keep it in the, until now he has kept it in his drawer, a nice drawer. He has made separate drawer to keep the footprint. So Maharaj himself, when he was alive, gave the footprint to this disciple. So it is possible that one can give the footprint. So Holy Mother replied, this cannot be done here now. Everybody here does not look upon me in the way you do. It will look bad because all don't have this kind of faith. So he said, no, I can't do it now. Some members of Laha Babu's family frequently visit this place. If I give you my footprint, the red paint will linger on my feet, and I shall have to hide myself from them. Now, Laha Babu, the custom is that normally widows don't apply. Otherwise, married women would normally apply that, and they don't mind showing off that color to others. But if somebody, a widow, shows this, it was not the tradition at that time. So she says, Laha Babus who are staying here, they come very often. Then I have to hide my feet because they'll see what has happened. Why is she applying vermilion to her feet, which is normally not done by a widow. So she followed all the customs and told him, you can't do it now, maybe you will have it later. Now another time, he says, I had gone to Jairam Bhatt in the company of a few fellow disciples from my native district. On arriving there, it occurred to me several times, I have come from such a distant place, I have not achieved anything worth mentioning till now. I would consider myself blessed if I could serve Holy Mother. So this was a wish when he came. He said, every time I come, I don't get an opportunity to serve the Mother. I have not done anything, I have not achieved anything. Perhaps he felt that in spite of taking initiation, he has not made much spiritual progress. Of course, Mother has told him not to marry, and perhaps he forgot, he followed it in his later life. We do not know. I think Vaikuntha did not marry. Anyway, but he was very keen that he should get some benefit. At least he felt that if I did some service to my Guru, maybe that will give me some benefit, because as of now he was feeling that he's not made any spiritual progress after so many visits, even after getting mantra diksha, which was given to him unasked for. He didn't even ask, he didn't even know that what it means to take mantra. So sometimes Mother can be so gracious. Then he says, he felt that he would feel himself blessed if he got an opportunity to serve the Mother. So he was staying there, and this thought was in his mind. One day, my fellow disciples went to Kamarpukur while I stayed back. In the afternoon, I went to see the Mother. She was sitting on the porch of the new house in front of the kitchen store. When the Mother saw me, she said, my child, bring a pitcher of wheat flour from the store. I did as directed. She took out some quantity of flour, mixed it with water, and asked me to knead the dough. I finished the work and shortly came back to the parlor. I went to her again in the evening when she was resting on the portico in front of her living room. There I sat quietly for some time. After a while the Mother said, Vaikuntha, my son, please stroke my legs a little. So she perhaps intuitively knew that this boy wants to serve. So she gave him all the opportunity to bring the flour and make the dough and then cook. So many things she allowed. And on the top of that, late in the night or in the evening, she asked him to just stroke her legs a little, because she was quite old and she very often had knee pain in the legs. So he was asked to serve. That is how normally service is done to senior people. We stroke their legs, sit at their feet and stroke their legs. Just because most of the gurus or most of the masters are old, so maybe that way the disciples take that opportunity to serve him. So sometimes you will find two disciples, each one pressing the legs or stroking the legs of each one of the legs. So, Vaikuntha, my son, please stroke my legs a little. While I was doing so, the Mother said, why have my sons not returned from Kamarpukur as yet? Have they taken the wrong road? Saying this, she became quite anxious and sent for Brahmachari Gyan. When Gyan came, she said, Gyan, see why they are so late in returning from Kamarpukur. Brahmachari Gyan walked some distance to trace their whereabouts and finally met them. And indeed, they had taken a wrong path. So see, sitting here, Mother has an intuition that these people have not arrived, and the reason is they have taken the wrong path. Very often it used to happen, and once you take the wrong path, it's very difficult to retrace your steps and come back. Anyway, had Brahmachari Gyan not gone, they would have taken much longer to reach Jairam Bhatti. Though it is not very far, but if you lose your way, you don't. They knew Kamarpukur, but they didn't. Not Kamarpukur. They knew the path, but they had somehow forgotten. So anyway, the brahmachari Gyan was sent by Holy Mother to do that. So at night, we slept on the portico of the mother's main house. In the early hours, at about 4 o'clock, we woke up. And one of us said, "Oh, if only we could see mother at this auspicious juncture of night and day." That is, 4 o'clock is known as the Brahma Muhurta. Just before, Brahma Muhurta is before sunrise, but early morning, before that is known as twilight, the auspicious juncture of night and day, they just thought they were sleeping on the portico of mother's main house. There was no place to stay inside, and they just thought, if mother comes now, and then began to sing a song. That's a beautiful song. "Oh gracious mother, get up and open the door." There is a beautiful song. "Utho go karunamayi, kholo go kutira dwara." It's a beautiful song. It actually means open the inner chamber of the heart. "Oh mother, you are not opening the door, not showering your grace." So literally it means they were trying to pray to the mother that, "Oh mother, we are outside waiting for your grace. You please open the door and come out." "Uthogo karunamayi, karunamayi, oh compassionate mother, please get up and reveal yourself." The idea, it has a spiritual meaning that you have hidden yourself in the heart. Now you open the door of the heart and give your gracious vision. As soon as the song was over, we were surprised to see mother opening the door and standing in front of it. At the sudden and unexpected appearance of the mother, we were extremely happy. The friends, Vaikunta and his friends, all of us saluted her in turn. Then she quietly went inside and locked the door. So, now there is another small incident, I'll say. On another occasion, Vaikunta, during the worship of Vasanti Puja is done in spring. A few of us went to Jairambati. Finding white lotuses in a pond on our way, we collected some of them. As we were preparing ourselves to offer those white lotuses at the feet of the Holy Mother, she had obviously initiated all these young disciples. She sent word saying that white flowers cannot be used for the worship of the goddess. So even there is so much of significance in all these things. Everything has to be done perfectly. White flowers are normally offered to either Siramka or Shiva, the male deities, whereas the female deity has to be, or especially Shakti, has to be worshipped with red lotuses. Anyway, on hearing this, we procured some red lotuses and joyously offered them at her feet. One day, I heard her say to someone in course of a conversation, "Don't tease me much, for if I admonish you losing my temper, no one can give you protection." So there were some like Radhu and others, in the course of conversations, used to very often tell her, "Don't irritate me," because she never lost her temper, no matter how much abuse this Radhu, she was not in the right frame of mind, both Radhu and her mother. So this Vaikuntanath heard her telling, "You see, don't irritate me, don't tease me so much, because sometimes if I inadvertently lose my temper, then it will be very harmful for you. If I admonish you, losing my temper, then no one can give you protection. You will be finished." So that is the caution she was cautioning the people who were unnecessarily, without any reason, troubling her. On that occasion, I asked her, "Mother, the government is putting young men behind bars these days. What do you think will be its outcome? It was a colonial rule, and anybody suspected of any revolution. Many of them were in Jairambati. West Bengal was full of patriots or revolutionaries who wanted to free India. So many young people, at the slightest doubt, would be put behind bars. A lot of arrests were happening, and some of them even came to take shelter with Holy Mother. So mother was asked, he asked, this young lad, Vaikunthanath asked, is it good? Why are they putting so many people behind slight suspicion and they are putting them? Mm. Then mother replied, yes, that is very improper. The mother replied, however, solution will soon be found. You will not have to wait for long. Certainly it will bring good ultimately. So even this arrests, Holy Mother saw the positive side of it. So when you really feel that you need something and you work hard to get it, like the revolutionaries, freedom would not have been got without any sacrifice. So mother saw, though imprisoning is a bad act, but she was so liberal that she said, no doubt. But ultimately, the people who are imprisoned, who suffer for the sake of the nation, suffer for the sake of a greater cause. Ultimately, it will bring some good. So this is how we can see the positive side of everything. Though mother did not approve of the idea, she disapproved the idea of young people being caught. In fact, some of the monks who later on became senior monks of our order, Swami Abhayananda and all, they were revolutionaries, and of course they changed their mind and they thought that through violence and through all these things, things will not work out. But they were fighting for freedom, and then later on their attitude changed because of the spiritual influence, and they understood that there's no connection between politics and religion and spirituality. So they came to Holy Mother. Many used to come, but she says, yes, that is improper. However, a solution will soon be found, and that really happened, and it will certainly uh, be certainly be good for them. Ultimately, it will bring some good. So perhaps she knew that India would get freedom by a sacrifice of lot of her young people, young men and women, which would inspire them to lead unselfish lives. Without unselfishness, one cannot uh, suffer for a great cause. So that would bring out the nobility in people and young people. So that is what Holy Mother says. So I will conclude. So all of you have been informed that we lost one of our very senior monks, one of the first, you may say, one of the first to join as early as 1963, Swami Tripurananji, who was with us for such a long time, more than 60 years. He was in our, joined under Swami Ghananandji, was his Diksha Guru also, from whom he got Mantra Diksha. Then he stayed in Holland Park for so many years, dedicating his whole life. One of the first, you can say, not only British but European monks to join the order and lead such a wonderful life. So we lost him recently, and it was Thakur's wish. Perhaps he wanted to be uh, he wanted to attract the soul at his holy abode, at his holy feet, in the holy abode of Sri Ramakrishna. We all pray so that the departed soul rests in peace at their holy abode. That's the goal of life. That's the goal of everybody's life. Everyone has to aspire for that. So we will be having a funeral on 29th. The body of revered Maharaj would be brought to the center for a short time, where those who are present will, those who like to offer their pranams, the coffin will be opened, and then people can pay their respects, and then we can proceed to the funeral at 10:45, and at 11:30 we shall be, those who are there, all of them are invited to return back to the center and have some prasad of Sri Ramakrishna. Some food will be, lunch will be provided. So that is the plan. And then of course, because this will be a very solemn occasion, a very solemn funeral, very simple according to the monastic tradition. If you see the funeral at Belur Mutt, there is a lot of singing because it's a joyous occasion for all of us to be united with Sri Ramakrishna. That is the goal of life. That is why monks live for that moment, so that one can be united in spirit, which is the real life, real purpose of life. So that the befitting the occasion, we will be having some few songs which will be shared with you with the meaning which is normally sung. If you see the funerals and the cremation that takes place at Belur Mutt, there is that spirit of joy in the sense uh, um, allowing the soul to be released from the bondage of this world and uh, uniting with the uh, eternal, joyful, and peaceful abode of Sri Ramakrishna, where all the people who are wending their way to that same goal, we all meet in spirit. That is the kingdom of God which we yearn to attain. So that will be on the 29th, and after that on 11th, that happens to be a Sunday, 11th December, we have quite a few monks who have promised that they will come. We will have a memorial meeting on 11th Sunday. We will have a day retreat as well. It will start from the morning, a lot of prayers, songs, and some talks, and then finally in the evening, uh, those who knew Revered Maharaj, he came in touch with so many innumerable devotees and also many of the monks. In fact, I had the privilege of meeting him long ago when I was just a student. He had come to India, and coincidentally, I mean, I was there when he stayed in one of our centers, and I had the opportunity to meet him even as a student. So, uh, all on the 11th, that happens to be a Sunday, we will have a memorial meeting for Revered Swami Tripuranji Maharaj. So all of you are welcome to come and attend that memorial meeting as well. So take your leave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.